Hi everybody, it's Luke Film Boss here, and I just woke up. So last night I watched a movie called Home Sweet Home Alone. It's new on Disney Plus, and I have no idea why I watched it, but I did, and it was quite an experience to say the least. Such a great movie, if you know what I mean. Like, the acting was so incredible. The dialogue and the writing is just like top notch, like up there with Pulp Fiction, if you know what I mean. Then you got like, you know, the story was like fresh and unique. Like, the first Home Alone, that was stupid. Like, nobody liked that movie, right? Like, there was nothing charming or funny or anything about that. So I'm really glad that they made this new one that just like improves upon the first one and the second one and all of the other lazy sequels and remakes that they did after that. So yeah, I'm really glad that I watched this movie. Like, it was probably the best Christmas movie I ever watched. 100 times better than the original. You know, like, because everybody wanted to see fart jokes in a Home Alone movie and stupid innuendos because that's what makes people laugh. If, like, you know what I mean. Like, this movie was so hilarious, and it's not hilarious like all the time, but like they just crowd like a joke after joke after joke. Like, this whole movie is pretty much a joke. Like, and that's like the brilliance of it, you know, because like the writers were like, let's just write like word vomit a whole bunch of jokes onto our paper and just put them all in this movie. And that was a clever idea because like not every joke lands all the time, but there's just so many jokes that it's like some of them are bound to land with the audience, right? And so you do laugh like at least 3 times in this whole movie. And like that's a lot of times for a movie, like 3 times to laugh. It's not bad. Like, I don't remember how many times I laughed in the first Home Alone, but I do remember is that it didn't have quite as many jokes as Home Sweet Home Alone. And so that must mean that Home Sweet Home Alone is like a lot better because it has more jokes. Like, you don't have to laugh at the jokes as long as they're there. It must mean that it's a funny movie. So, let's go to the characters. Like, the first Home Alone, you know, Kevin, he had some sort of like charm and like real adorability to him. He starts off as kind of a brat, but like you kind of like it's done in a like a humorous way, but like to where you also like understand why he's like getting upset and kind of bratty. But like that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't encourage and like make it look good that he is a brat, like, and that he's like back talking his mom. Like, that's not good. So that's why the original just doesn't hold up to this one, because this one, the kid is just a brat. He's annoying. He is not nearly as adorable. He has no charm. His one-liners are not clever at all. And so I think that makes this movie better because, you know, when a kid is a brat, it should portray him as a brat. It shouldn't like try to justify what he's doing. And in this movie, it just really makes you hate this kid rather than like him. So that is a really good thing, that they really made you hate the kid in this movie. And then you go to the people that are breaking into the house, and it's they just rather than being like criminals, it's just a mom and a dad who are trying to get a doll back that they think the kid stole. so that they can, pay for their house because they don't want to have to leave their house. And so they try to get the doll, and spoiler, it doesn't end up being in the house because the kid didn't actually steal it. He just stole a soda, that was like a brilliant plot twist. Is like this innocent husband and wife just trying to get their doll back. They get beat up like all throughout the movie. They get um tacks stuck in their face, and they get hit with weights, like dumbbell weights and all sorts of stuff. They get slipped on the ice and bashed their heads on stuff. And it was all because the kid stole a soda and they thought he stole a doll. And like, brilliant plot twist because, everybody, we just wanted to see um a husband and a wife who's just trying to do the right thing. We wanted to see them get beat up. We we don't like it when criminals who are trying to steal stuff from people's houses, we don't like seeing them get beat up anymore. That's just not original. It's not clever like it used to be, like in the first Home Alone. And like after like the first two times watching the other Home Alone films, of watching the criminals get beat up by Kevin and all the other kids, like it got boring after a while. We wanted something new. We wanted to see innocent husband and wife get beat the crap out of for no reason. And it was like, that's what keeps the audience entertained in this movie, is because like they're just getting beat up. Like, what else do you want from a Home Alone movie? People, it's like it's like childhood carnage, if you know what I mean. And that's just brilliant. If yeah, brilliant. Um, and just like down to like some of the other characters, like every character in this movie literally doesn't act like a real like human adult or even like a real human kid would act. Like the first Home Alone, it was silly, and like some of the characters acted a little like there was like a little bit too much. They acted way more, it was just too much extra. But like this movie takes it to the extreme where like every character acts extreme and extra. Like nobody acts like a real character, like of how people act in real life. They're all just so they act like little kids and they use no common sense. And that benefits this movie because you see when everybody acts like an idiot, that makes you you care about the characters more because when they act like idiots, it justifies why they are trying to break into this house and why the kid thinks that they are trying to kidnap him and sell him to an old lady, because when they're stupid, it makes a lot of sense. Because like why wouldn't they think, "Oh, the kid stole the doll. Let's break into the house." Like really, like it wouldn't make sense for them to just open the door with the key, turn off the alarm, and then go grab the coat and try to get the doll like the first time, and then find out that it was a soda and just go about their Christmas. Like they had to try to break in multiple times and fail every time. And like because they act like idiots, like it makes sense that he would forget one of the easiest codes that I remembered, like 1112. Like of course the dad would forget about it and put in 2221 as the alarm code. And like that makes sense because in this movie he's an idiot. And so if like you're getting what I'm saying, right? Like it makes so much sense because at the beginning of the movie it builds up each one of these characters as incompetent. And so also would make sense that we would spend a whole 5 minute scene where the husband and the wife are climbing this wall to get to the kid's house, even though they could have just took the front door because they had the key and the alarm code. But they decided to go around back and climb up a wall. and then they like are getting hurt and like falling down the wall and all sorts of other stupid shenanigans because they're stupid and it makes sense. Um, and then and then it turns out that there was like an open gate just like a few feet away, but because they are weird, it makes sense that they didn't see the gate until after she got her husband up on the other side of the gate, and then she was able to just walk through. And it also makes sense even more because it turns out that it wasn't even the right house and it was somebody else's house, but it makes sense. It just makes sense. So then, because the kid overhears them, they say they gotta get the ugly boy to sell the ugly boy to a great or old woman for $200,000. They're talking about this exclusive like doll, but the kid thinks that they're talking about him, and so that's why he puts up all these booby traps. And so they go in and they like say multiple times that they're like they want to talk, and then he like just throws another booby trap at them, and he like burns their feet, and they step on Legos and get shot with thumbtacks and all sorts of stuff. They get hit by sugar bags and other stuff. So yeah, like that's what we want to see. We wanted to see a whole bunch of misunderstandings, and we wanted to see these people get beat the tar out of by this kid who does this annoying little laugh. He's like every time one of them gets hurt, and he thinks it's so funny, and so that's what like keeps you engaged with this movie is his little laugh. Like that's what makes you root for this kid because he's annoying, he's a brat, and every time we see this helpless, innocent couple who's trying to save their family's house get hurt, he does this little laugh. Like it's amusing him that they're getting beat up. And so that means because he's amused, we are supposed to be amused as well. So, um, in the end, this kid and his these people that are getting beat up, they finally talk and then they like resolve everything. It's like, oh, he stole a soda can, not the doll. Um, we've been getting beat up for no reason. Um, this kid is home alone, and we were so unfeeling because we thought he had a grandma home with him. And so now they feel bad that they broke into his house, even though all they were trying to do was getting to the house. Like, literally, they could have done it the first time. Just open the door, do the alarm, grab the thing, get out. None of this had to happen, but they're just so stupid. And that's the brilliance, is everybody's stupid. Everybody in this movie is stupid. And then the kid, he's like, I overheard you. You said you were going to kidnap the ugly boy and sell him to an old lady. And they're like, no, we were talking about a doll. Isn't that funny? Like, this whole movie is just a giant misunderstanding. Like, if they had just knocked on the door, like, after they knew he was there, they could have just knocked on the door and been like, hey, we've got a doll in your house, and, like, we would like it back. But no, they had to, like, break into the house multiple times. Like, really? What did they have to lose by, like, they found out the kid was there and they think that he's with his grandma? Just knock on the door and be like, hey, um, this kid was over our house and he took something from our house. And that wouldn't be a lie because he stole the dang on soda. And so, like, why didn't they just do that? No. Oh, let's break into their house multiple times. Multiple times. And that's just so clever in the storytelling department. I'm just so glad that they decided to make these parents irresponsible and crazy. And it's not even just like their poor judgment. Like everybody in this movie, they say the dumbest stuff. Like they say weird jokes about stuff, you can watch the movie. But everything about this movie, it's like an instant classic. In the end, it has a nice ending. The mom comes back. The house is like destroyed. Then we find out that the husband and wife found the doll because their nephew took it and was like sleeping with her or whatever. Um, so then they pay they pay for all the damage done to the kid's house, and they also get to keep their own house. The dad gets a job. I forgot to mention he doesn't have a job, and that's like why they weren't able to pay for the house. But he gets a job in the end, and so that's good. And the one thing that I really love the most is that this actually the family actually goes to church. I actually like that. Um, and then the kid goes to church, and I mean, they make actually a legitimately funny joke where he's like, maybe I should go to church more often because he gets a toy at like the thing or whatever. I actually did like that. But in the end, everything's like hunky dory. Like it's so uh unrealistic. So on a serious note, this movie is like legitimately terrible. Like everything that we liked about the first Home Alone, like this movie tries to like do that, but it just like fails. And like before I go on, like this movie knows that it's awful. Like it literally makes a joke at a point in the movie where it literally says the character goes, I don't know why they keep remaking all the classics. They're never going to be as good as the original. It's like literally saying, hey, this movie is not as good as the original. So it's like, why are we watching it then? Like, you can get more enjoyment out of watching Home Alone 5 times over the holidays than you would get out of watching this movie once every 5 years. It's so poorly made. Like, half of the whole charm of the original is that there was something that the kid learned. In this movie, it's just like, oh, you guys weren't trying to kidnap me. Wow. Like, he doesn't really learn anything. And the writing is inconsistent. Like, he starts out as a brat in this movie, and then at certain points, he acts like some innocent child, and then he's acting like a evil maniacal overlord watching his victims get hurt like like it's so inconsistent. And then by the end, he's like this sweet child. It's like, oh, I'm just home alone. I'm scared. It's not as fun as I thought it would be. And then you got the mom and dad. Like I said, literally just either get the passcode right the first time. Let's 1112. It's not that hard. Don't put 22221 or whatever. It's like go in, grab the jacket, find out that it's a soda can and not a doll. Don't get beat up and all this stupid shenanigans because of it. Just go do it. Or at least when you find out that somebody's home, which is like half the reason that they decided to break in is because, oh, let's get there before they get back home, even though we know that they're home and they're going to be back soon. Like they think that he's living with the kid's living with the grandma. No. And so they go try to break in multiple times rather than just knocking on the door and being like, "Hey, you took something from our house the other day. Can we have it back?" No, because in this world, they don't act like real adults, okay? They don't. They just don't. It's so dumb. Like I said, there were actually some good jokes in this movie. Like 3 or 4 maybe. Like that's about it. There's like I didn't count, but there's like probably 50 to 100 attempted jokes in this movie. Barely any of them land. Uh, the characters are all just really. I mean, some of them were actually kind of funny. Like I like the husband's brother and his wife. I actually thought they were kind of stupid as well, but they actually had some sort of a comic relief. Like in a movie that's supposed to be all comic relief, they actually had some legitimate like moments that actually kind of made me like smirk and like chuckle a little bit. But Oh, I forgot to mention, you got Kevin's brother, McAllister. He's a cop in this movie, and once again, he is just like everybody else. He's really stupid. He's like, gets this thing. It's like there's a kid home alone. He's like, "Oh, my brother used to do this all the time. I'm not gonna go check it out, even though I'm a cop. I'm gonna sit here on my fat butt eating my chimichanga thing." Why did Kevin's brother become a cop? How did he even get into the academy? He's not physically able, and he's clearly doesn't have the mental capacity to be in the police force. Um, I don't know. It's like they're trying to like add in this Easter egg, like, oh, this is the same Home Alone universe as Kevin McAllister. See his brother's here. He's a stupid, incompetent cop. This movie annoyed the crap out of me. There's so many moments. It's just like cringy moments, just like, ew, no. Why is this happening? No, no. And it's so. Ugh, I'm never going to watch this movie again. There was like 3 to 4 good jokes. There was like maybe 1 to 2 good characters in the movie, and they weren't even like they weren't main characters. The story was trying to be original, but like we wanted to see like half of the reason we liked seeing people get beat up in the other Home Alone movies is because they were criminal scumbags that deserved to get the crap beat out of them. They weren't husband and wife trying to do the right thing for their family. Like it's just it's not the same. Like it doesn't have that same like entertainment value, or like nothing in this movie has the same charm as the original. Like the first Home Alone was clever, it was heartwarming, the characters were both likable and sometimes unlikable at the same time, but you were always rooting for Kevin. The criminals were actually like funny and you liked seeing them get beat up. The first one, and then you have the heartwarming stuff, and then the lesson that the kid learns in the original Home Alone, the lesson that Kevin learns, none of that stuff is here. There's a lot that this movie just copies, like the kid junking out and trashing up the house after he finds out that he's home alone, eating junk food and playing video games, watching movies, all that stuff. And then like they literally steal lines from the original Home Alone, like you give up or are you thirsty for more? Trying to like pay homage to the original Home Alone, but it doesn't work. Nothing in this movie works. I did not even think about like what I would give this movie as a rating, but I would give it like maybe like a 5%, like overall in enjoyment and in quality. Like this movie really is just about as close to toilet bowl water as you get when it comes to movies. It's really bad. Don't watch it. It's not worth watching. Like I just spent 23 minutes and 45 seconds describing this movie and giving you my honest opinions. So I just pretty much laid out this whole movie for you so you don't have to watch it. And guess what? It took like a fifth of the time. Like this movie is an hour and 37 minutes long. How do you make a movie like this that long? Like how? It does not need to be this long. And this video, I think I'm going to shoot for 25 minutes, so I have 40 some seconds left. So, thanks everybody for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Once again, don't watch Home Sweet Home Alone. It is the biggest trash that you'll see this holiday season. If you only watch the beginning of this video, ignore it, because that was a joke. This whole video is a joke. This whole movie is a joke. Please heed my words. Do not watch this movie. It will scar you for life. It is not worth your time. It might not scar you, but it's going to leave your brain dead and numb. It kills brain cells. Please, please.